This is incredibly beautiful, eh?
Lying in thin air, nearly 12,500 feet above sea level, Peru's Lake Titicaca is the legendary birthplace of the mighty Inca. Here on the lake's majestic shores, photographer Dos Winkel goes in search of both its ancient culture and the unique wildlife that has found ways to thrive in its ice-cold, oxygen-starved waters. The starting point for this journey of dramatic contrasts is Peru's capital, Lima, which for 3/4 of the year lies shrouded in a grey sea mist.
We are battling the chaotic Lima traffic. For some reason, I have a sense of foreboding. Ahead of us is a 3-day road trip to our destination, the famous Lago Titicaca. Biologist Stefan Austermüller is our guide, and he is worried about the conditions we might encounter.
120 kilometers of the Pan American Highway in the south are destroyed by the recent earthquakes.
Taking leave of the coast, Dos and Stefan turn inland, beginning the climb of nearly 12,500 feet to the shores of the majestic Lake Titicaca.
The alpacas and llamas quietly go about their grazing, more or less oblivious of my presence.
Three hours out, and the first signs of damage from the recent earthquake becomes apparent.
Now I could use 2 pairs of eyes, because driving here is really tricky. Peru is a country where the forces of nature often dominate. I really admire the people's attitude, the way they set to clearing up the mess and get on with their lives. Arequipa is one of the cities hardest hit by this latest earthquake. This beautiful monastery was one of the many buildings to suffer damage. Although dust is one of the main enemies of camera equipment, I have to get out of the car to take some shots of these beautiful cactus flowers.
Climbing further to over 16,000 feet, Dos notices what looks like a pink streak on a small lake.
And as we approached, in the biting wind and near freezing temperature, it becomes clear that this is a huge flock of flamingos. We hope to fool the birds by adopting this crude imitation of an alpaca.
Since they feed on small crustacean, insect larvae and algae, these Chilean flamingo usually search for water where there are no fish with which to compete for food, which explains why they're here on this icy, high-altitude mountain lake.
The combination of fast-driving heavy trucks and this damaged 2-lane road result in many casualties. just one unexpected maneuver of an oncoming truck is enough. Within minutes, drivers had stopped to help us. Miraculously, we're all able to get out of the car without serious injuries. I don't know what happened to my head, but I was totally twisted with my head. I don't know, but I'm a bit dizzy. I'll tell you, boy, we have been so lucky. Come and look with me on the other side of the road. This is the other side of the road. Look down there. That would have been our total end. Without our car, we continue by public bus. And we all felt very lucky to be alive. A feeling that's only reinforced by the driver's habit of repeatedly kissing a crucifix. I'm happy to find out that my camera equipment is still working very well. And I'm really in trouble now, because we see so many beautiful things, but we can't stop. It's under this giant statue of Manco Cápac, the mythological father of the Inca, that I get my first view of the majestic and mysterious Lago Titicaca.
At Dos's feet lies Puno, a cultural center which unites the Quechua and Aymara peoples. These two living cultures made this their home long before it became a sacred center for the Inca. In the town's center, we find evidence of the fourth major culture to influence the area. This Roman Catholic church was built by the local people for the Spanish, resulting in an interesting mixture of styles. Lake Titicaca's biggest tourist attraction are the floating islands of Los Yuros. Here the houses and boats, and even the islands themselves, are constructed from tortora reeds, which grow abundantly in the shallows of the lake. The islands were built by the Yuros people to escape suppression by the Inca.
But in order to find what we came here for, the sacred Titicaca frog, we need to find a more remote shore away from the bustle of tourism. For me, at this altitude, every movement seems to be a big effort because of the lack of oxygen. Watching these Aymara sheep herders treating their animals for skin parasites, I'm impressed with their energy in these harsh conditions. We arrive in Yanchon, where we meet Valentin and his wife. We're invited to stay with these friendly Quechua folk. Although more than ready to help, our new hosts are astonished by the amount of gear we brought. The dive gear in particular made them laugh. Where can we buy or borrow some oxygen?
It's as if time here has stood still. Using the traditional Inca hoe, Valentin cultivates maize, potatoes, and other vegetables. The old traditions still play a vital role in daily life. Here, weaving and other handicrafts are not being done for the tourist. The patterns used are centuries old. For a society without the written word, like the quechua, these patterns can communicate the status of the wearer or tell stories of the community.
At dinner that night, we ask Valentin what he knows about the frogs that live in the lake. He tells us that they're used as medicine, mainly for a range of mental problems.
Dos wakes early the next morning, looking to capture the ethereal magic of the lake. Over 150 miles long, and with a surface covering more than 3,000 square miles, Titicaca is in fact the remains of two giant inland seas that once covered this Andean Alti Plano at the end of the last ice age. Next, the team prepares for their first dive in the sacred lake. Sacred because the Indian legend says that the sun god's children emerged from these ice-cold waters to found the Inca Empire. Later, when the Spanish came, it's said the lake became a secret hiding place for their gold.
Before entering the water, Hendrik, my dive buddy and cameraman, and me have to chew coca leaves. Valentin insists that the gods be appeased. Then we make an offering to the water, the earth and our dive equipment. Despite all the ceremony, on our first dive we find nothing. No frogs, no pictures.
Valentin is concerned. In the last 5 years, he's noticed a drastic decline in the numbers of large frogs. Local researchers point to overfishing, organic pollution, and the introduction of trout as possible causes. But recently, an alarming new threat has appeared: a growing trade in live frogs with restaurants in the major cities, where they're blended alive and served up as a medicinal drink.
Eventually, we find some small frogs with slightly different colors, markings and texture. As Valentin has said, these frogs are no bigger than 8 to 12 centimeters at the most.
Frogs at this altitude are something special. Very few amphibians have been able to adapt to the extreme conditions encountered above 10,000 feet. But Titicaca's frogs avoid the huge variations in temperatures between day and night, and the intense ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun, by spending their life submerged, not even surfacing to breathe. The frog absorbs all the oxygen it needs through the skin. The bigger the frog, the bigger and more baggy the skin. Small native fish known as ispi make up a large part of their diet. But they're not that fussy, also eating snails, worms and small crustacea.
Muchas gracias.
Para el frío.
Frío. Muy frío. But,
Oh, peces,
yeah.
ispe, carachi, pejerrey.
Ah, okay.
Now that Dos has seen his first
La
frog,
rana es un animalito
Valentin wants
muy
to
sagrado.
explain to him more about how the locals view its special powers.
Clama, pide,
While some
suplica
communities use
al
frog meat to
Dios.
cure fever and
Entonces Dios le
tuberculosis,
escuche y cae
others,
la lluvia
in
y
times
la
of
tierra.
drought,
Por
use
eso es
frogs
muy
in
esperada
sacred
la-
ceremonies to plead with the gods for rain. Determined to find bigger frogs, Dos and Stefan decide to make a journey across the lake to the northern shore, to the small island of Swazi. Again, the spirits need to be appeased, but they don't appear to be cooperating. First, they lose their way, and then the engine gives up.
All the other engines we had, they failed. The cars, the trucks, the compressor. Now we have a ship engine. It's great. We all get a bit nervous when our captain explains that the weather here can change abruptly, producing 3-meter waves, easily swallowing up boats like these.
Looking to make the most of this misfortune, Dos and Stefan decide to make a dive here and explore the reed beds.
Suddenly, I see several frogs mating. This is really great for my pictures.
Another reason for worrying about the future of the Titicaca frog is that they're not particularly fertile amphibians. While a typical frog in the jungle lowlands might lay tens of thousands of eggs per clutch, these denizens of the icy deep manage only a few hundred.
Finally, after more uncertainty, we meet a small boat that confirms we are heading in the right direction. And after a 6-hour trip across the lake, we reach Swazi.
The island of Swazi is one of 50 in Titicaca, but the only one to be privately owned. It's been under the control of the Galvez Olvera family since the late 19th century. Today, a spectacularly positioned eco-lodge greets the new arrival. Designed to minimize the impact on nature, it allows visitors to enjoy these pristine surroundings in all their glory. The day-to-day management of the island is in the hands of granddaughter Consuela, who's proud to show off her domain. These pottery remains, thought to date back to the time of the Inca, are evidence that people have lived here for centuries.
Consuela tells me of the plans she has for the island. Her dream is to return the whole thing to its natural state, so she wants to get rid of all the introduced plants and introduce plants and animals that originally lived here. Now, she already has lots of endemic plants. More than 20 alpacas and 4 vicuñas. Vicuñas are very shy creatures and close to extinction in the wild.
It looks promising.
I'm so curious to see what we can find here.
Well, good luck.
The greener, the cleaner.
Consuela is so fascinated by our dive preparations that she asked me if she could have a go. It's extraordinary to think that she lives here all her life but never has put her head on the water. Then it's our turn. I can hardly believe my eyes. This looks like a prehistoric monster. He's wearing a skin that looks 3 sizes too big. This is the frog we're looking for. Outstretched, this frog measures over 30 centimeters. Although he never sees people, he's not afraid at all. On the contrary, he obviously enjoys being filmed.
But this encounter with a gentle giant would be Dos's last. Titicaca has changed its mood. The wind is building, the air temperature falling. Diving very soon will be out of the question. It's as if the lake has decided that it has given up enough of its secrets.
Calor, gracias. El café, ¿no?
For the past 1.5 years, I've been thinking about this. How would it be? 3,800 meters, then go underwater. Look for the frogs. That's what I'm here for. For the frogs. Then you find the frogs. They're all mating at the moment. And then I feel so privileged to take pictures of these animals in this wonderful, incredible environment. I'm very privileged. It's great.